Hi everybody from TechnoLost, so welcome to the dedicated focus on the multimedia capabilities for what concerns this Huawei Ascend P6. Well, we'll start with the few hardware specs of this device that concern with the multimedia side. We have the front-facing camera, which is a 5 megapixel sensor, quite good to be a smartphone. And we have the backside illuminated sensor, which is an 8 megapixel sensor with a lens with an aperture size of f2.0, so very fast and bright lens. And we have the possibility to take a macro shot up to 4 centimeters close to the subject we are shooting. So these are the main hardware capabilities of this device for what concerns the multimedia side. So now let's give a look to the camera UI just to see. Sorry, I thought about the camera UI, not the music. Here we go. This is the camera UI of this Huawei Ascend P6. Just let me zoom a little bit so you can give a better look to the UI itself. As you can see, this is not the latest UI for what concerns layout. In the latest devices, especially for what concerns high-end devices, we have both the button to take shot and the one to record video all together in the screen, so you can start recording video or taking shot at the same time with no problem. Here we still have the old good, let's say, selector between shot and video. Let's start with the picture. We have here the possibility, of course, to select the front-facing camera. We have, of course, the possibility to perform digital zoom, and of course the selector for what concerns the flash. And then we have a few settings here. The first things that you may notice is the possibility to select the scene or the shooting mode. We have single, which is some kind of manual mode. We have smart, which does remind me of the Audio Superior from the Xperia family. We have Beautify for people. We have HDR, we have Panorama, and we have Effect, which is the possibility to apply some real-time effect like filters like Instagram or something like this. So these are all the scene mode, or better the shooting mode, that we can find inside this Huawei Ascend P6. If we get into the settings here, we have few settings. Most of them can be activated selecting single mode, which means that if we select smart mode, we have less settings here. And we have the possibility to perform some object tracking, which does remind me of the recently LG G2 tracking zoom. You have to select a subject into your scene, and the device will keep focusing on that subject, although you're moving the device itself or the subject itself is moving. We have a smile capture. We have touch to capture, which means that we have to touch the screen to take a picture and not the button. We don't need the button. We have the GPS tagging. Picture size 8 megapixel, 6 megapixel, 5, 3.6, 0.3. And we have the timer and ISO settings, white balance. Major adjustments, we have exposure, saturation, contrast. And of course we can select which is our preferred saved location, considering that this device does support the microSD card slot. So these are all the settings for what concerns the camera UI. The device is quite fast in taking picture. Just let me show you. Just have to press to take the focus, and then you press the button and the picture is taken. You can even perform some burst shooting mode. Just keep pressing the shooting button like this. Okay, you heard the camera shooting. And if you perform a slide from right to left, you can get directly into the picture you've just taken. And of course you can even remove them. That's the camera UI for what concerns picture taking. If we get into video recording, here we have few other settings. we don't have here, video recording mode, but we just have to, we can just choose between some, settings like object tracking, the same that we have for the picture. We can even perform some HDR video recording, but just at, HD video quality, not at full HD video quality. We have the stabilizer, which is of course just a software stabilizer. There's no optical image stabilization here. We have the GPS tag, you have the video quality, which is full HD, HD, VGA, QVGA, and MMS. If we do select the HD video quality, as you can see, we can finally select even the HDR mode. And we have, of course, the preferred save location. Just one thing, when we record video, as you can see, we don't have the possibility to taking picture while recording video. Okay, so these are all the settings for what concerns the camera UI of this, Huawei Ascend P6. And now we can give a look finally to the, quality before to the gallery itself. So we can give a look to the gallery UI. This is the gallery of this Ascend P6. We can even, with the settings here, decide whether to hide or show some album. We have the album view like this, which is more or less, a folder view depending on where you saved your picture. We have times, which means that all, every picture and video is grouped by timestamp according to month and year. We have location, which is sadly not the map view, but another way of grouping pictures and video based on location, which is city and region, more or less. And we have people, because we can activate the face recognition for what concerns this device, and when we assign a name to a specific space, the device tries to understand in other picture if there's the same person given the face. And this is the tab where you can group people by recognized face. These are all the way of grouping of pictures of this device. We have the gallery, and we can, we can perform some editing on the picture pressing this button here. We can, for instance, select these, filters mode, where you can apply some filters. More or less, there are some filters that you could find inside the effect settings, or better, effect shooting mode into the camera UI. We have here the possibility to straighten, crop, rotate, and mirror. We have here some contrast, auto color adjustment, vignette, exposure, saturation, sharpness, curves, vibrancy, hue, so many, other filters. And here we even have the possibility to add a frame to the picture. So as you may see, we have some editing for what concerns picture, but we don't have any editing at all for what concerns video. We don't have the possibility, for instance, to trim the video, nor even the possibility to capture a single frame while reproducing the video itself. So these are all the stuff dealing with the gallery. Now we can start talking about picture quality of this device. And let me start with good, light quality picture. As you can see, this device takes very good picture with well latent scene as this one. What really struck me the most is that this device does capture a lot of details to be an 8 megapixel sensor. Very, very good. This is maybe even due to the good f2.0 lens. Very good aperture size. So the device does capture a lot of lights, especially when there's good light into the scene like this. And we have even, as you can see, wonderful macro. This is not that difficult to achieve for nowadays smartphone, but this device, given the fact that it even has zoom up to 4 centimeters from the subject, takes wonderful macro shot like this one that you may see here, or even just let me change and let me show you something else like this one, for instance. Very good macro shot with so many details in them. Okay, then we have another interesting mode, which is HDR mode, and the HDR mode is a mixed bag. We have some situation where HDR does a wonderful job like this one. This building was shot with almost against the sun, like as you can see here, the sun was on a little bit on the left, and as you can see, the building here is not that well lit, is maybe too bright. If we give a look to the same picture taken with HDR, you may notice instantly how how this building is lit is perfect, almost perfect. There's not too much light as in the previous shot, as you can see, and there are so many details into this picture. Very good HDR shot. But in some other situation, HDR mode is not capable to achieve such a good result. Just let me show you. This is a macro which I made because there were some part of the scene which were in shadow, like this one. As you can see, we still have some details here into the part of the scene into the shadow. And if we take the same picture taken with HDR mode, as you can see, there's not so much different for what concern the part of the scene behind the shadow, while the rest of the picture, as you may see, there's less right here, there's fringing, there's no more fringing here, which is good, but there's not so much more details into shadow or part of the scene, which is something that usually HDR shots are really good to achieve. Much more shadow, much more details into shadow. Here in this picture there were not so many more details into shadows. So sometimes the HDR does a wonderful job, sometimes a little bit less. But as you can see, generally speaking, this device has a very good camera to be an 8 megapixel sensor, thanks probably to the f2.0 lens. Now we can talk about picture taken at night or with low light situation like this one. The point here is that once more the f2.0 lens does a wonderful job in capturing much more light than some other contenders. Here, as you can see, the scene is so much well lit. It's very good. But of course we're always talking about 8 megapixel sensor, which means that we do have noise. This is nothing that we cannot discuss about. There's noise, but I guess this is quite normal to be an 8 megapixel sensor. I mean, this is not much more noise than other 8 megapixel that I could try. Nevertheless, thanks to the f2.0, as you can even see here, part of the scene where there's some light are so much more light than other devices. Very good for this Huawei Ascend P6. How much light is this device capable to capture during night shot? Of course, there's some noise. It cannot be other way. It's just an 8 megapixel sensor, but so much light. Very good, very good job for Huawei. So, but speaking about good job and not so good job, this panorama mode is a mixed bag too. The most positive part is that you shoot in vertical mode and you take the whole 8 megapixel picture. So the panoramic mode is nothing but merging of many 8 megapixel picture, which means that you have the final panorama picture, which is so huge. It's 22, almost 23 megabyte of picture, with a resolution of 20,000 for 3,000, so huge, and you capture, of course, so much details. The problem is that and this is the not so positive part of the cake, is that the merging algorithm is not very good. There are some artifacts, some problem with merging, and this is not so nice. Like you may see, for instance, here there's so much noise here in this merging of these two pictures, as you may see, and this is really a pity. Nevertheless, the picture itself has so much details, as you may see, that it's really a big surprise. So that's the point for what concern picture taking, and now we can give a look to the just one more info about picture. The size. Average size of picture goes from a little bit more than 2 megabyte up to quite more than 4 megabyte, up to 4.6 megabyte, which is a very good size for what concern 8 megapixel picture. So this does tell us that this device capture so much details, and that even there's not so much compression for what concern picture file. So now we can switch to the video. Just let me show you, this device is capable of recording 1080p video, 720p video, normal and HDR. So let's start with the 1080p video. Here we go. So as you can see, the video is quite good. There are very good details here too. This is very nice for a 1080p video. Sorry, but the video is almost quite fluid, quite smooth. There's some starting small, very small starting here and there, but nothing dramatic. So this is a very good result for 1080p video. Now we can give a look to the 720p video. Okay, this is very strange. I mean, the 720p video has good details too, like the 1080p. Of course, there are less details than in 1080p, but they are good. The problem is that it's weird that there's a little bit more starring that we could find into the 1080p video. This seems to be a nonsense, but I watched several times this video both on device and on my MacBook, and I can tell you that it does stutter a little bit more than the 1080p video. Then we will give a look to the 720p HDR video, this one. Okay. The point with the 720p HDR is that we have worse details here. There are not so many details as we could find into the 720p normal, not HDR video. This is really a pity. If you give a look to this video into your PC or Mac or whatever, a bigger screen, you cannot appreciate the difference here, but in a bigger screen you will see that this kind of video, the 720p in HDR mode, seems to be even slightly out of focus. They are, to be honest, not out of focus. It's just the lack of details in respect of the normal 720p that makes you feel like you are without focus or with not so good focus into the 720 HDR. So not a very good result for the HDR video. Now we can talk about a few technical specs of the video. The 1080p video has a bit rate of 23.8 megabit per second. Very good bit rate for what concern 1080p video, one of the highest I could find in any device. We have then the 720p video with a bitrate of 14.4 megabit per second, very good bitrate too for concern the 720p, and the 720p in HDR mode has a bitrate of 14.3 megabit per second, so even a little bit less than the normal 720p. Video in the audio in every video at any video resolution that's always recorded at 96 kilobit per second at 48 kilohertz stereo. So once more here, even the stereo quality of the audio quality, for what concerns the video, could be better. I mean, I've been using device that could record video into and sound up to 192 kilobit per second. Here we just have 96 kilobit per second. Maybe it's a little bit too low. Nevertheless, the audio, is quite enjoyable anyway. You cannot record maybe a concert, but it's quite enjoyable nevertheless. And this is the analysis for what concerns video capturing. Now we can give a look to the video reproduction quality of this device. And this is very odd. We can reproduce without any kind of problem MKV file. This one is a 720 MKV file. Okay, but we are not able to reproduce the 1080p. This is very strange. As you can see, error message. But we can reproduce almost any other kind of video files, starting from the DivX. This is the 480p DivX, so nothing really special. Sorry, just let me start here the DivX so you can see. And here, oops, okay, to the 1080p XVED, like this one. Even the Windows Media Video file can be reproduced by this Huawei Ascend P6. This is 480p Windows Media Video file. It's not quite easy to find a device capable of reproducing Windows Media Video files. At least out of the box. This is the 720p Windows Media Video file. What is even more interesting is that this device is even capable of reproducing 1080p file, which is something really uncommon between the nowadays smartphones. Very, very good job for Huawei and the video playback capability of this Huawei Ascend P6. So as you may saw, we can reproduce almost any kind of file. Of course, we can even reproduce MP4. This is 1080p MP4. Of course, no problem usually for MP4 file for any Android device. But if we do use a third-party player, like for instance here MX Player, we won't have any kind of problem in reproducing even the previous 1080p MKV file, video and audio, but with just software acceleration. Okay, maybe sometimes it's not perfectly fluid, but it's enjoyable nevertheless. Okay, so even for what concerns the video reproduction capability, video playback capability, very, very good job for Huawei. And now we can give a look to the last part of this review, which is talking about the music player. The music player is quite easy. There are not so many stuff going around here. There's this summary view here where you can select the old song, favorites, plays, albums, artists, folders, and so on. And you can of course have the played album view like this. What is really interesting here is that the output from the speaker of this device is very, very high, just like me here. Oops. We have a little bit more than half of the power this audio. This is not the best sound, sorry. Very high, so the volume of this device is very high. Okay, as you can see, the UI of this music player is quite, nothing particular. We have here the album picture. We even have the possibility to insert lyrics, but not downloading them. Don't know how you can insert lyrics here, maybe via a file in the same name of the MP3 file, don't know yet. And we have the equalization here, which is now Dolby Digital Plus or nothing. This is because we are not, we haven't inserted the headphones. If you do insert the headphones, you get much more equalization profiles, so you can choose between some preset profiles. But what is strange here is that you don't have some kind of user profile where you can select a single band of equalization that you want to change. Here you just have to select a preset for what concerns equalization and nothing more. So the last things that I want to talk to you about is the headphones output. Not that bad, but in this version that I'm testing, I mean the software version, which is 111, we have some problem with headphone output. The headphone output in this particular version of the software is not that loud. I mean, usually my maximum level for listening to music in any smartphone is about in the middle of the volume rocker, of the volume bar, sorry. With this device I do have to go a little bit more than half of the maximum volume. But reading the several forums, I saw that this is a problem just for what concerns this version, which is 111. In version before 111 and in the next betas like 116, we don't have this kind of problem for concerning headphone volume output. The volume output is louder in the next beta or in the stock version previous this 111. So this is just a problem for this specific OS version. So this is the last things for what concern the multimedia focus. Once more, thanks for watching and bye from TechnoLost.